This video is based on actual reported events. All names have been changed for privacy. Sarah and Amy became friends working together over the years at a local university in Yellow Springs, Ohio. A couple weeks after they both retired in 2002, they decided to take a road trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. The ladies took their time and enjoyed the sights on the way to their destination. After a full day of driving and a night at a hotel, they were back on the road. They made their way through Kentucky and entered the Tennessee border when they decided to stop for dinner. After finishing their meal, they noticed it was getting dark. They decided to drive a few more miles, then they would get a room for the night. Amy was looking at a map and saw an inn listed. She became excited, telling Sarah she had always wanted to stay at an inn or bed and breakfast, so they decided to navigate to the inn. Sarah said she was nervous as soon as they turned off the main road. A short distance after their second turn, they heard a loud noise and the car shook and started riding rough. Sarah pulled over and both ladies got out to see what had happened. They realized they had a flat tire. Both being in their 60s, changing a flat tire after a full day of driving wasn't exactly what they were wanting to do. Amy pulled the map out, showing Sarah that the inn was supposed to be right up the road. They locked the doors on the car, carrying only their handbags, and began walking in the direction of the inn. A short distance from the car, they began hearing a strange sound, like someone loudly knocking on a tree. They both looked into the darkness, seeing nothing but trees, and continued walking. Coming around a curve, they were able to see the inn up ahead of them. Having taken a little longer than they thought it would, they walked up to the back and around the pool to enter the back of the building. Sarah said Amy spoke to the lady at the counter in the next room. She called a young gentleman to come in to help them. He introduced himself as Mike and asked how he could help. Amy explained what had happened, and he offered to drive them back to their car to get their luggage. As they were removing their suitcases from this trunk, Sarah said Amy suddenly screamed out. They looked at her, and she was looking over into the woods with her hand over her mouth. Amy walked the couple of steps to her and told her there was something hiding behind a tree several feet away. They all stood there scanning the trees but couldn't see anything. Once they had all of the luggage transferred, they got into Mike's vehicle and began to pull away. Amy couldn't help but look back, and there it was, a large furry creature peeking out from behind a tree, watching them drive away. It wasn't until they were getting ready for bed that night that she told Sarah she had seen it again. Early the next morning, they went downstairs, called the auto club for a tire changed, and grabbed a couple breakfast pastries ready for the meal offered at 6 a.m. They waited on the front porch for a few minutes, then began walking to the car to meet the auto club technician. As they were approaching the car, the tow truck pulled up. The sun had risen by the time the man had put the spare tire on the car. They thanked him and got in the car, watching as he drove away. Amy started the car, began to adjust her rearview mirror, then suddenly let out a scream. Sarah said she turned around to see what she was screaming at and couldn't believe her eyes. A huge, fur-covered creature was standing in the road behind the car. Sarah yelled, "Go!" Amy smashed the gas pedal, spinning the wheels for a second before the tires grabbed the asphalt and they took off. They could see the Bigfoot standing there watching as they drove away. Breathlessly, they drove back to the inn to get their belongings. Quickly, they packed the few things they had gotten out. As they came back downstairs, they encountered Emmy, the lady that ran the inn. She asked them if they would stay for breakfast. Amy told her she didn't think they could stomach a large meal right now with all the excitement. Emmy asked what she was referring to. They explained what had happened. Emmy had a puzzled look and asked them if they were sure it wasn't a black bear. She said they had a few of those around there. They looked at each other and back at her, both shaking their heads. After thanking her for her hospitality, they made their way back to their car and drove the rest of the way to Gatlinburg. Sarah said this was a trip they never forgot. Thank you for watching. Remember to click like if you enjoyed their story, and consider subscribing to our channel Dreamscape Horrors, as there's much more to come.